Jesus' teachings were unlike anything anyone had ever heard before. While very different from what the scribes and Pharisees taught, his words rang true to anyone who really understood God's laws. The lesser laws of an eye for an eye and hate your enemy were now being replaced with this higher law to help us become perfect, even as our Father in heaven is perfect. And lasting happiness comes only from living the way the Savior taught us to live. Luke chapter 6 tells us that on the Sabbath, Jesus and his disciples went through a cornfield and plucked and ate ears of corn. Pharisees who saw this asked, "Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath days?" Jesus reminded them that when David and his men were hungry, they went into the house of God and ate the shewbread that was only lawful to be eaten by the priests. He said, "The Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath." On another Sabbath, Jesus taught in a synagogue with a man who had a withered hand. Scribes and Pharisees watched to see if he would heal on the Sabbath, so they could accuse him. Jesus knew their thoughts and told the man to stand up. Then he asked, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath days to do good or to do evil, to save life or destroy it?" He told the man to stretch forth his hand, and he restored it as whole as the other. The scribes and Pharisees were then very angry with Jesus and discussed what they might do to him. Jesus went into a mountain and prayed all night. The next day he called his disciples and chose 12 to be his apostles: Simon, who he named Peter, his brother Andrew, James and John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Simon who was called Zelotes, Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot. Matthew chapter 5 and Luke chapter 6 tell about a sermon Jesus gave called the Beatitudes. In Luke it is called the Sermon on the Plain, with very similar teachings to a much longer sermon Matthew wrote about called the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew focused on the Savior's teachings, while Luke wrote more about his history. Whether or not these were different accounts of the same sermon or two different sermons Jesus gave, they both reveal gospel teachings that were very different from what the world taught, and pointed to the Savior as the standard of righteousness and very foundation of our lives. Matthew chapter 5 tells us that after Jesus saw the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. When he was set down, his disciples came unto him, and he taught them the Beatitudes. "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you, persecute you, and say all manner of evil against you, falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." Jesus said, "Ye are the salt of the earth." Salt is used to preserve, flavor, and purify, and was used in the law of Moses for animal sacrifices. Jesus taught that salt loses its savor when it is mixed with or contaminated by other elements, and is good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden under foot of man. He said, "Ye are the light of the world, and a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Men do not light and put a candle under a bushel, but put it on a candlestick, to give light to everyone in a house." Jesus said to let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Jesus said that his higher law superseded the law of Moses, which the scribes and Pharisees prided themselves on how well they kept. He had not come to destroy the law or prophets, but to fulfill them. And he told his disciples, "Ye have heard that," then taught them how to elevate themselves above the law of Moses, and their righteousness would exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees. He said we need to be responsible for and gain control over the thoughts and feelings that come into our minds and hearts. Whoever broke one of the least of the commandments and taught others to do so would be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whoever kept and taught them would be called great. It was said in the past, "Thou shalt not kill," or we would be in danger of the judgment. But Jesus said if we were angry with our brother without a cause, we would be in danger of judgment. Whoever told his brother Raka, a word of contempt or derision, would be in danger of the council. Whoever said thou fool would be in danger of hellfire. And whoever brought and left a gift before the altar should first be reconciled to their brother. Jesus said we should agree quickly with our adversary before he delivers us to a judge, and we are cast into prison until we paid the uttermost farthing. He said that anyone who lusted after a woman had already committed adultery with her in his heart. He taught that it was better to cast out one member than for the whole body to be cast into hell, and used an analogy that if our right eye offended us, we should pluck it out and cast it away. Jesus said that whoever put away or divorced his wife for any reason except fornication had caused her to commit adultery. It hath been said by them of old, Thou shalt not forswear yourself, which means to break one's oath or lie, but we should perform or dedicate ourselves to the Lord. But Jesus said we should swear not at all, neither by God's throne in heaven, his footstool on the earth, by Jerusalem, the great city of the great king, or by the head, because we cannot change our hair from white or black. Our communication should be yea, yea, or nay, nay, and anything more than this cometh of evil. It hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But Jesus said if someone smote us on the right cheek, we should also turn the other one to him. If a man sued us and took away our coat, we should also let him have our cloak. If he asked us to go a mile, we should go with him 2 miles, and we should give to whoever wanted to borrow from us. Ye have heard it said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor, and hate thine enemy. But Jesus said we should love our enemies, bless them that curse us, do good to them that hate us, and pray for them who despitefully use and persecute us. Then we would be the children of our Father which is in heaven, who maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and unjust. He warned, For if ye love them which love you, or salute them, which is what the publicans did, then what reward have ye? Jesus ended Matthew chapter 5 by telling us, Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. We need to remember that the term perfect here was translated from the Greek word teleos, which means complete, to reach a distant end or objective, to be fully developed or finished, and does not mean to be totally free from error. In Luke chapter 6, after Jesus called his apostles, he went down from a mountain into a plain where a great multitude came to hear him and be healed of their diseases and unclean spirits. They all sought to touch him and be healed, and Luke wrote that virtue went out of him. Jesus then lifted his eyes and taught them. Luke's version tells of only 4 Beatitudes written in third person, while Matthew wrote about 8 Beatitudes written in second person. Luke also wrote about 4 woes that Matthew did not record. Woe unto you that are rich, for ye have received your consolation. Woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. And woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. Jesus taught many ways we can do good to others. He said, Love your enemies and do good to them which hate you. Lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest, who is kind unto the unthankful and evil. Bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. He taught the golden rule, As ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. Be merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. And if we give in good measure, it would be measured to us again. Jesus told a parable about if the blind led the blind, then both would fall into the ditch. He said the disciple is not above his master, but everyone that was perfect would be as his master. He taught that we should not see a mote or a splinter in our brother's eye, but then not see the beam in our own eye, and that we are hypocrites if we don't first pull the mote out of our own eye so we can clearly see the mote in our brother's eye. Jesus taught that every tree is known by its own fruit. A good tree does not bring forth corrupt fruit, or a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. And a good man brings forth good out of his heart's good treasure, while an evil man brings forth evil. For of the abundance of his heart his mouth speaketh. Jesus taught that it was not enough to just hear his words, but we must also obey them. Why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? He showed whoever came, heard, and did his sayings, whom he is like. Luke chapter 6 ends with a parable about a man who built a house with a foundation dug deep into the rock that was not shaken when floods and streams beat upon it. Jesus said that those who heard what he said but did not do it were like a man without a foundation who built his house upon the earth, and great was its destruction when the stream beat upon it. And this is Matthew chapter 5 and Luke chapter 6 in the New Testament. Look for hidden images located in the video. You can support PonderFund by visiting our Etsy site, ponderfund.com website, and our Facebook page to find more fun things to do. Please like and share these videos with anyone you think might enjoy them. Also, please subscribe to this PonderFund YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching, and find some time this week to ponder.